God. Go too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh, no.
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And yes, we do have some winners of our Tier 7 contest. Yes, I'll bring up the screenshots here in a moment. We've got our top 3 damage numbers. I gotta say it was a little close for first and second. But little close. I want to thank everyone for submitting their screenshots for a chance to win. You know, you guys are great, as all of my subscribers. You know, we're gonna have more contests as well coming up. I know, you know, I always say this, and this is only our second one, but I do plan on having another one. Depending on how quickly we can get ourselves to 1,000 subscribers, that's really the next benchmark that I've set for myself. Well, for the channel, I suppose, not really myself, but for the channel. Once it reaches that level, there will definitely be a contest at that point in time. But you know, if it drags on, if we don't get to 1,000 subscribers, whatever, we will just run another contest anyway. There'll probably be one in March. Maybe March, April, somewhere around there. But anyway, screenshots of our winners. So starting in 3rd place, we have Bad Panda. Yes, Bad Panda 15, member of NGA actually. 173,000 damage, comes in at 071 as well. 2nd place, we have Luke on the EU server, 187,000 damage in an ARP Miyoko. Yes, look at those torpedo hits, 13 torpedo hits. And then in 1st place on the NA server, Fublin, I'm not sure, but 193,000 damage in a Scharnhorst. Now apparently as well, that was the first game that Fublin had ever played in the Scharnhorst. So I have sent emails to all 3 of you. It should be in your inboxes. Well, they're in there now, but by the time you watch the video here, they will be in your inbox. Just be sure to let me know. Reply back to me as to what you want from the premium shop. Bad Panda and Fublin, I'm so sorry, my friend. I don't know how to pronounce that. But anyway, you guys are going to be easy because the NA server and whatnot. I just go ahead and gift that to you. Luke over on the EU server should be just as easy. Maybe a little bit of conversion there in terms of currency, but whatever. Don't worry about it. That is not for you to worry about. That's for me. So just let me know what you guys would like from the premium shop. Reply back to the email that I sent you. We will take a look at one of the replays. I believe it's going to the Scharnhorst replay is the #1 replay, or sorry, the 1st place contest and winner. We're gonna take a look at that replay, not today, because for whatever reason things aren't working as well as I would like them to work, so I'm just not going to show it today, but we will be taking a look at it. Excellent. In the Bismark today on Hotspot, this is actually my first battle in the Bismark. First time I've sailed her out. She's totally stock. The commander needs to be trained, all of that lovely stuff, and I was just taking her out to see what she can do. I was very, very excited for the extra range on the secondary battery. Now, because the ship itself is stock, I think that leaves me at about 9.7, maybe 9.3 kilometers, because I don't have the captain abilities to beef that up to whatever it is, 10.6 or something like that. So there's that, but it's alright, whatever. I'm still thrilled about the secondary battery. Just look at the destroyer run away. Oh, it's amazing. It is amazing. Now, in terms of modules for my Bismarck, I did go not full on secondary battery improvement. I did take, I think it's the 2nd upgrade slot, that's the plotting room, right? That gives you the increase to, decrease to your dispersion and whatnot. I took that instead of, I think it was secondary survivability. And the reason why I did it was because I do know that the German battleships do have, or at least this one, and starting at the guys now. This one not so bad as the guys now, but they do have a bit of a dispersion issue. I mean, not the conning, that's for damn sure, and not the Bayern, but you will start noticing that. So I thought I'd just mitigate it a little and go right ahead and get that on there. Now, for everything else, yeah, sure thing. I've got secondary battery stuff. I did take the target acquisition, the last module. I think that one's like 2 million, the 2 million credit one. I took that instead of concealment. I figure it's obvious reasons. I'm not looking to hide my battleship anywhere. I'm gonna get spotted from way out there. I'm fine with it, whatever. I went with target acquisition because not only do I get that acquisition, but it also helps increase your acquisition range of torpedoes. Now, something that just popped in my mind here as we're talking about that module, Bad Panda and Bad Panda, we talked about him earlier, won 3rd place. We were talking about the that target acquisition module and whether or not that would increase your target acquisition range in a storm, right? In a squall. I think it does. I was talking to some other people and I've been looking at some numbers and it looks like it definitely does. Your range, your spotting range while you're in the cyclone is just ever so much further. I think it's fairly negligible, but it's more than the 8 kilometers. So you just get that little extra advantage. Right, as the two ships are coming together, you're going to spot the enemy ship first, and that might give you the edge, like that split second. So it does definitely do that, which is crazy. I actually never even thought about it until Bad Panda brought it up, and then I had to do some looking around, some digging around, and then I forgot to talk about it until now. But yeah, it does. It's amazing. I didn't know. I had no idea. So you can see, we are going to move not into the center here where the A cap normally would be, but I am going to strafe around. It's a typical play that I make when I'm on the on hotspot and I'm a spawn over here on the west side and I'm confronted with these 3 islands with the center stuff over here. Usually there is going to be some sort of destroyer or cruiser action going on here in the center of these islands. Now, I did wait a little before I actually pushed into this zone here, and to do that, and why, what I do to do that is I kind of just sail straight at the island, just to the south of us, and then I kind of use that as cover, circling around and just taking shots at the enemy ships to see what the enemies are going to do. Now, in this case, the enemies decide to retreat over to the east because, it's standard battle. There's not a point here to capture, so there's not necessarily a reason to be over here other than to prevent us from outflanking the enemy, which is what we're in the process of doing at this time. But, being over here, and I do try to use the islands. Once I figure out what the enemy is doing, like I say, in this case, they're going to the east, then you can push into this little center if you want to, right? And that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for cruisers, basically. I want to take down some cruisers as quick as I possibly can. I do see the battleships over there in front of me, and I am going to take shots off of the battleships. But, first battle in the Bismarck, I really wanted to test her out, and I wanted to see what she could do. And so I am... Well, I was going to say I am allowing myself to take damage so that I can test to see how much damage the Bismarck can absorb. It's only half true, if I'm going to be honest. The other half of it is, well, I really just got fixated on that cruiser over there, and it just so happened that we've got some enemy battleships over there that were pumping shots into me, and I was like, whatever, Bismarck can take shots. It didn't work out, because I'm about to ground myself. I thought I could turn out of this. No, can't turn out of this whole mess here, Thotgor. We are going to ground. Whatever, doesn't matter. The Bismarck can absorb a decent amount of damage, but like all battleships and all ships in the game, you need to make sure that you're spreading out when that damage is happening to you. You can't just sit there and take and absorb all this damage and expect to be able to survive and repair through it. It doesn't work that way. But what you can do is you can take a few shots, you can maybe make a few mistakes that, shots go into you and you lose a lot of hit points. But as long as you're able to circle back, you know, get behind your allies, get behind some cover, just break contact with the enemy, repair, kind of reassess the situation, and then get yourself back in there. As long as you're able to do that, you can survive pretty long. I mean, unless the enemy is making a concentrated effort to just sink your ship with, you know, no questions, no hesitations, you should be able to pull off some decent stuff here with the old Bismarck. We've already seen a few replays on the channel with the Bismarck. Actually, I have a few more sitting in my inbox right now that I was going to put up, but for whatever reason, replays aren't doing their thing right now, so it's weird. I had to look into it, but whatever. We'll get to that as well. So I do finally manage to get myself off the island. We're going to turn. We're going to try and get ourselves out of this situation, because this is a bad situation to be in. I can't fire at anyone. Only recently have I been able to return fire at this enemy battleship here off in the distance. So I was actually quite impressed in this game with how accurate the Bismarck seemed to be. Now, knowing that this is my first battle in the game, I really didn't want to get too excited about this, because I knew that, you know, RNG obviously plays a role in all of this, and, you know, since this battle I've played many more battles than the Bismarck, and yes, this was some sort of fluke. I don't understand it. maybe I was just really on this day, and you know, my aim was really good. Not sure, but it was generally a fluke. That the shots were landing so well for me. But when they do land, typical, you know, German battleship style, German AP style, really, lands with the force of a train, and it just rips through enemies. You know, you're gonna get citadels, and you're gonna do a whole crap ton of damage very, very quickly. It's gonna be amazing. You know, blow your mind stuff. Like what I just did to the cruiser there off in the distance, right? It just surprises you, and that's what I really do like about the German battleships. Among many other things, but they do surprise me all the time. I think I did show the replay. It was a while back, but I was in my guys now, and I shot some shots at a Scharnhorst that was bow on to me, and I citadeled the Scharnhorst. It was just amazing. Couldn't even believe it. The German guns they do that. I have, if you recall, we showed a Hipper game the other day, you know, and I mentioned I hadn't been playing my Hipper often. Well, I have been playing the Hipper much more often, and just remembering how much I'm in love with that ship. It is amazing what the German armor piercing can do. Yes, I got very lucky indeed with those torpedoes, which is good, because, you know, I don't have full health. Those torpedoes would have come in and done a bit of damage to me, so fairly glad I was able to avoid them. Now, if we take a look at the minimap, we can see sort of what's going on, right? Like, I was down there in the south, and I was flanking the enemy, but just the way the flow of the battle has gone, I'm actually working my way over to the east now. And we do see a number of enemies who are on the east and are making a play towards our base. In fact, we just lost one of my allies who was, you know, providing a defense against those enemies. So I'm kind of moving into that direction, while at the same time taking pot shots off at the enemy battleships and ships that I have in the distance. I can't wait to get, actually I think I already have it, the range increase on the Bismarck, because yeah, right now I'm just missing the B hull for the Bismarck. I've got everything else. So the range increase will bring it up to a little over 21 kilometers, so that is great. The 19 kilometers is limiting. We talked about it before in the Amagi. The Amagi can make it work. Maybe, well, 19 kilometers is still workable for a battleship. It's shorter for a battleship, but it's workable. But I would like to get the 21 kilometers. Can't wait for that. So we can see I have an Allied destroyer there in front of me, or on the starboard side rather, laying some smoke down. So I'm just going to turn and get myself into some of this smoke here, break contact with some of these enemies. I think it's a Bayern and another enemy Bismarck that we're firing at out there. So I'm going to bring my ship to a stop, and we're just going to sit in the smoke, and we are going to fire at the enemies. It's going to be amazing. Do a bunch more damage there to that enemy to that enemy battleship, which is fantastic. And I really do enjoy, you know, when when Allied destroyers and when allies really do go out of their way. Well, maybe not out of their way, but they really, you know, pay attention to the situation and they help you out, right? I'm a battleship out in the open. You know, buddy's got smoke. Why not give me some smoke and let me just, you know, take shelter in that smoke, which is great. I'm able to sit in here and just fire away at these enemy battleships, work them over as they're getting their way or making their way over to their base to put up the last stand, last sort of defense of their base. I'm also kind of close enough. You saw some of my secondary battery there open up to engage the enemy destroyer. Enemy destroyer is gone now, but you know, while it was there, it was good. I liked it. You know, not too bad. Some shots go in. We almost managed to finish off that enemy battleship. We just need a few more shots to land, and we will be able to do that. I don't have any more targets here in front of me, so, you know, I am going to have to make my way out of the smoke. The smoke was very beneficial, however, because essentially, as you saw, I didn't have to take any fire from those two enemy battleships. I was really just able to sit here and dish out some damage, which is always great. We see more enemy battleship, well, actually the same enemy battleship that was over on the west, now over on the east. So we're going to attempt to do something about these guys. Now, obviously, I'm going to fire at the enemy battleship that's on the lowest health, because potentially I can just get this player gone as quick as we possibly can, and then we can shift our focus over to the enemy, other enemy battleship. And much to my dismay, those shots didn't do anything. Did a bit of damage, but just not as much as I wanted. Now, it's obvious to me that my allies are going to finish off that enemy there, so, you know, fantastic. I will just go right ahead and switch over to the second enemy battleship here and start working this player over. I am playing fairly cautiously. I wasn't you know, too keen on getting too close. Again, first battle in the Bismark, still trying to get used to the idea of, you know, pushing in there and fighting it in close in. Now, do get myself a nice high caliber there, but just to get back on the pushing in with the Bismark, you know, just because you do have good secondaries doesn't mean you do actually have to get in like the enemy's face right away, right? You can slowly work your way up to getting to closing the range to the enemy, hopping from island to island, or cover, you know, piece of cover to cover, or even, you know, using the situation as it unfolds to your advantage just to close the distance with the enemy, because that's really what a lot of this game is about, right? We talk about positioning and situational awareness and how it's so important. Well, you know, in order for you to get that stuff, you have to look at the minimap, number one, but if your positioning and situational awareness is on key, then, you know, you're going to actually be closing the distance with the enemy as the battle is progressing. You won't, well, you shouldn't get too close to the enemy by the time the enemy is actually dead, you know, if you've been focusing on the same player. So really is critical, and that's what I'm attempting to do, right? Like, I don't want to get into these islands too much just yet. There's a guys now in there. They have torpedoes. I'm not sure what that battleship is over there. Maybe that's the Bayern, but with the guys now, you know, I don't want to get too close in because I don't want to be subject to the torpedoes. With the Bayern, it has really, really good guns, and the closer I get, the more damage those things are going to do, and the more chance that that ship has of citadeling me. So you still have to be very careful. I mean, Tier 6 Bayern cannot be underestimated. We've talked about it before, but we're going to mention it again. You cannot underestimate that battleship. It will just come in and ruin your day. Luckily for me, that player was busy with someone else. I sneak in, get the kill. Fantastic. Don't need to worry about that player. We have the one enemy battleship remaining and the one enemy destroyer remaining, so we're doing pretty good. My team, in the meantime, also almost has the enemy base about halfway capped or so, so that is not too bad at all either. We are now just going to focus down the enemy battleship, right? I don't really have to worry too much about the torpedoes because we are well outside torpedo range. Don't really have to worry about actually finishing off the player necessarily because we are capping the enemy base. It all depends on how long it takes that guys now to get around the landmass and start putting shots into my allies. That is what's going to determine, you know, whether or not we're going to be able to just cap this out without actually having to deal with the player. Now, in the meantime, I mean, I'm obviously going to try and get myself into a better position here so that I will be able to support those allies I have who are capping, and that means chasing down the guys now. At this point in time, we're stock again. I don't have the propulsion upgrade for the ship, so I'm not going to be able to do or go as fast as the guys now. I don't think so anyway. I think the top speed, stock top speed, what, 29.9, 30 knots, and then once I get, oh, now that I have it, what, 31 knots? 32 knots. Not 100% sure. This is a little faster than the Bismarck is what or a little faster than the Tirpitz is what the Bismarck can do. So we're going to get closer to the enemy base. We're going to try and move in here a little more, see what we can't do about, supporting our allies. But to be frank, I mean, look at our allies. They're just destroying the skies now here. Not too much of a hope for that player. So it's basically going to be all over here. And it wasn't that bad of a game. For my first game, my maiden voyage, as you know, if you've been a long-time subscriber, I have a terrible history with maiden voyages of just getting obliterated within the first 5 minutes. This was fantastic. I was quite pleased with the overall results. It was just, well, you can tell maybe if you were listening and hear the jazz in the background, just a relaxing day for me, just playing some ships. Had this result. Fantastic. 137,000 damage dealt, 267,000 credits earned, 3,600 experience got, and then we get the high caliber, so not too bad at all. We finished second overall in the team. One of our destroyers finishes first overall. Congratulations to that player. Pretty sure that's the player who initiated the enemy base cap, which is fantastic. We can see how some of the damage is broken down here, about 41,000 going over to that Bayern, and then we got some pot shots off at some of the other enemies. Imagine this with the secondaries, right? And the secondaries maybe bouncing or glancing, I don't know. 77,000 credits earned is what we managed to walk away with. And in the one battle, we almost train our captain to full, which is fantastic, obviously. Anyway, that is the end of today's video. Again, thank you everyone for submitting screenshots for the Tier 7 contest. For those of you who have won, congratulations once again. Don't forget to email me back to let me know what you're looking for out of the premium shop. As always, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Love reading those and responding back to them. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.